Hey guys, it's Paradise, and I'm here with another Runeterra video for you guys, and this one's super exciting. I couldn't wait to share this with you guys. This is our top 5 different theme decks that you have to try. They're so fun, each one plays really differently, and I definitely recommend trying each one of them out. Let me know in the comments down below what deck you are either playing or building towards or planning towards. I really want to know. There's so many different varieties out there. And definitely like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. I will make sure to include the import code for each of these decks in the description down below, so whichever of these decks you guys want to try, you can import it really easy with the code in the description of the video. And we're going to start off with a more beginner friendly but still a really cool and fun and strong deck in my experience, the Poro deck. The Poros are these little fun, fluffy, one-mana creatures in most cases that have some kind of special move on a lot of them. Some of them have toughness, or they have elusive. Some of the others spawn other Poros in your hand. They're all super cheap. So the idea for this deck is to get those Poros out early, get them onto the field, and start working up towards the buffs that you're going to have from your Poro snacks, also from your Hearthguard, and your pack mentality spell is going to be a big one in the later game or mid game for you as well. You want to be trying to get card draw as best you can with the Poro Herder, and you've got Lucian and Braum in there as well for some very, very strong on mana curve cards that are quite cheap at 2 and 3 mana. Braum's just going to be tanking for you while you're building up your Poros. Lucian has the potential to level up if enough Poros die. You've also got Senna in there for the synergy with Lucian. And on top of that, you have the Heart of the Fluffed, which is a creature that combines all your Poros together. It combines all of their effects into one unit to make a really, really strong unit. Often tanky, it's hard for your opponent to deal with, and when eventually it dies, it has last breath and summons the Heart of the Fluffed back, which is just a nice 4/4 creature. However, if you've been using those Poro snacks or other buffs throughout the rest of the game, it will also have those buffs saved up on it, so it could be a 5/5 or a 6/6 or even higher. So yeah, it's a really easy deck to use, super fun, very low mana cards, you can get a lot of creatures out. It is a bunch of fun.
It's suboptimal, but I'm testing something. What the hell is this?
So next up we have an Elise Spider deck. This is a completely spider themed deck, and it is so strong. I think this is probably one of my higher success rate decks so far. It's all about using these different spider cards and spells and Elise herself to just build up a bunch of these disposable units on your team that all have synergies and buff each other as well. And it doesn't matter if you really lose any of them, it doesn't matter if you sacrifice any of them for card draw. They are pretty much throwaway units, but you can just overwhelm your opponent with these. And if you manage to get Elise on turn 2, as she is only a 2-mana card, you are pretty much going to give your opponent a pretty good run for their money and a tough time. Thresh is in the deck as well. He's just a strong card, another challenger card in there. If you manage to get that Elise level up, it will give all your other spiders challenger. Really allows you to control the field and do the trades that you need to and want to. So yeah, the idea of the deck, get the spiders out there as early as you can, get the damage in while you can, try and get your Elise evolved. Basically just overwhelm your opponent. The ton of spiders, the ton of buffs, they're going to have a hard time. The next deck that we have to show you guys is a barrier win condition deck. This deck focuses around Shen and Fiora and applying barriers and getting super efficient trades, synergies and buffs on barriers, and the win condition being Fiora just having to kill 4 units. You can do this in 1 turn. With the Judgment card, it does cost 8 mana, but you could effectively do it earlier than that with the spell mana as well. You have some card draw on some of the different units and spells. You also have the Green Glade Caretaker, who gets +2/+0 every time you apply a barrier. These things turn into like crazy 10/2s, 20/2s if they're not deleted by some removal early on. They are a problem, and you got to remember they're getting barriers as well. So when this thing turns into a 6 or a 10 or a 20 power unit and you're constantly got barriers on it, your opponent either has to be super dedicated to getting rid of it, wasting like 2 or 3 removal cards for this 1-mana unit. So your overall strategy is to try and get those units out early, get the synergies rolling, play your Shen. He only has to see a barrier 4 times to level up. Get your Fiora out, and in the late game, use those hefty spells to just wipe everything out with your Fiora, and you get an instant win. The next deck we have for you is an Ephemeral deck, which are creatures that die either after attacking or after the round they're summoned, but they often are either in mass or their stats are really good for their mana cost. So the idea behind this deck is that you are just doing a constant onslaught of spells that summon multiple ephemeral cards to just attack your opponent, get trades because they're going to die anyway and their stats are usually quite good for their mana cost. You also have the Phantom Prankster, which will just do chip damage every time something dies, including ephemeral units. You've got Zed and Hecarim, who when they attack spawn their clones, or the 2 Spectral Riders, which are ephemeral as well. You've got cards that get buffed while there are ephemeral units out on the field. You have removal with Black Spear. You have synergy with Deathmark to put ephemeral from, say, one of your Zed clones onto an enemy unit, meaning you get to keep the Zed clone. You also have extra card draw on the Shadow Assassin, the Sunderer, who is your 7 cost, who just destroys the 2 weakest cards on your opponent's side of the field, and Scuttlegeist, who gets cheaper the more allies that have died this game. He's going to be really cheap to drop. You probably drop him on turn 4 or 5 in most cases. Overall, this deck's really good fun. You just constantly onslaught your opponent with all these combos to do with sacrificing or allies dying or buffing because of ephemeral units. And then you have Zed and Hecarim, who are super strong. And once you get those guys out together, the 2 of them can attack, and you've basically got 5 attackers because you've got 3 clones for free. There are quite a few different variants that you can do on this ephemeral deck. There's some other cards as well that synergize with ephemeral units that aren't in this deck. So get creative, mix it up, and customize it and see what really works for you. But this was working for us quite well. Now for our next deck, we have a pretty good one. This is a very heavy control themed deck. It's about surviving until that turn 10, getting as much lifesteal as you can to keep you alive, getting those blockers out like Braum, as well as the other cheaper units that summon Spiderlings, or removal that summons Spiderlings, as well as removal that heals us. Because once you get to turn 10, you can cast the Harrowing or War Mother's Call, basically just dominate the game from there, and it's just GG if you get to the end game with this deck. It's so super fun. I definitely recommend you try it. I think there are a few versions of this deck out there on the internet. This is our version that was working really well for me, and it's so fun. Essentially what you want to do is try and play as defensive as you can. You want to be removing, healing, blocking as much as you can up until the end game, where you can just drop either Tryndamere or a Nivea or your Yeti or the Harrowing and War Mother's Call, which is just gonna lock in the victory for you if you can survive to that point. The deck definitely suffers against rush decks like the Elise Spider deck, or maybe even the Poro deck it can struggle with, because the Poros just overwhelm you early on. But if your opponent's playing like a mid-range or a late-game deck, you are definitely in for a win. And there's nothing quite as satisfying as lengthening that game out until you can drop that 12 mana War Mother's Call and just watch your opponent lose faith in the world as you are getting free monsters every round without even having to cast mana, and there is literally nothing they can do about it. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and these 5 different themed decks that we have for you. Do put a comment down below to tell me what deck you're playing with. What's your favorite, what's your least favorite that you've experienced in the game so far? Drop a like and a subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. I hope you're all having a great day guys, and I'll see you next time.
I really hope you guys enjoyed that video. Remember to hit that subscribe button and also click on the little bell icon to turn on notifications so you don't miss my next upload. Also, don't forget, you can check out TwoSixNine and Paradise Central streaming over on Twitch 6 days a week. You can find a link to the multi-stream in the description box down below. Be sure to drop by and get involved. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy. Catch you next time. Peace out.